Hello everyone, my name is Bassant Essam. I am a research assistant at the Department of Civil Engineering in the American University of Sharjah. I am performing this research with my professor, Dr. Kazi Parvez Fattah, an associate professor at the Department of Civil Engineering in the American University of Sharjah. I would like to present my research on the public acceptance of grey water reuse, a case study and analysis in the United Arab Emirates. I will start with the introduction and research objectives, then I will present the methodology adopted to achieve those objectives. This will be followed by the resulting conclusions of the study and the references used in the research process. Despite that around 3/4 of the surface of Earth is covered with water, fresh water is considered a scarce resource. This is because 97% of the volume of water on Earth is actually saline, while 2.5% are either frozen or available in the atmosphere. This leaves behind only 0.5% of the water on the Earth's surface as fresh water available to meet all human requirements. Freshwater sources are either conventional or non-conventional. Conventional freshwater sources are surface water and groundwater, while non-conventional sources that have been arising lately are desalinated seawater, harvested rainwater, and treated wastewater. The United Arab Emirates is one of the driest countries in the world, with no surface water available and with groundwater being available in only finite reserves. Desalinated seawater has been adopted in the United Arab Emirates to address the water scarcity issue. In fact, the United Arab Emirates is the leading producer of desalinated water in the Gulf region, contributing with 35% of the worldwide seawater desalination capacity. Treated grey water, on the other hand, is of very limited use in the United Arab Emirates. Grey water is defined as the relatively clean wastewater from baths, sinks, and washing machines. Grey water has been considered a viable and sustainable water strategy due to a number of reasons. Firstly, the volume of grey water that can be reused constitutes a significant proportion of the consumed water. Secondly, grey water quality after treatment has reached high standards. The third and last reason is that utilizing treated grey water is associated with lower water demands and reduced potable water losses, hence a more efficient management of water resources. Common applications of grey water in the United Arab Emirates are irrigation, car wash, and toilet flushing. Although the environmental aspects of treated grey water are satisfied, the social factor is still an issue that needs to be addressed. Social acceptance of treated grey water is an essential factor influencing domestic adoption of grey water. Researchers have been conducting studies over the past decade to identify the factors influencing public acceptance of treated grey water. These include psychological discomfort, the specific use or application of treated grey water, the level of physical contact, the perception of freshwater abundance, the perceived health risks, being knowledgeable about the treatment process, being environmentally aware, the perceived costs, socioeconomic factors, and religious concerns. The objectives of this research can be summarized as follows. Investigating the overall public perception of grey water reuse in the UAE. Revealing the acceptable applications of treated grey water as perceived by the public. Investigating the public concerns regarding treated grey water use. Investigating the public willingness to invest in grey water treatment and reuse systems. And finally, to determine the factors influencing grey water acceptance in the United Arab Emirates. The objectives of this research were achieved by designing and distributing an online survey among all 7 Emirates of the United Arab Emirates. The survey was designed using the stated preference approach and was filled by 436 respondents. The respondents were actually UAE residents and nationals. The design survey is composed of 18 questions distributed among 5 sections. The first section addresses the demographics. The second section addresses the public perception of water abundance and the perceived importance of water demand reduction. The third section addresses the public awareness and acceptance of the grey water reuse. The second last section is concerned with the cost of installing grey water reuse systems, while the last section addresses the public concerns of treated grey water. The results obtained in this study show that 436 responses were collected, of which 10% are UAE nationals and 90% are expatriates. This shows that regarding this particular aspect, the collected sample is a representative one. The male to female ratio is almost 1-to-1. 61% of those who filled the survey are graduate and undergraduate students, while 32% are employed and 7% are homemakers. In addition, 95% of those who filled the survey belong to the age group of 18 to 45 years old, again indicating a representative sample. Figure 1 here shows the distribution of responses among the Emirates of the UAE, showing that the highest number of responses was obtained from the Emirate of Sharjah. This shows that the results of the study mainly indicate the public attitude of those living in the Emirate of Sharjah. The results of the second section of the survey are shown here. 73% of those who took the survey are aware of the increasing global water scarcity issue. However, only 40% classified fresh water in the UAE as scarce and 40% considered fresh water in the UAE as abundant. This shows that UAE residents still lack awareness regarding the scarcity of freshwater resources in the United Arab Emirates. This can be attributed to the abundant supply of desalinated seawater and the availability of bottled potable water in the UAE. Yet, 89% were familiar with the importance of water conservation and 78% were familiar with the importance of recycling water. These similar findings were documented by Maraka and Goody in 2012 in their study conducted in the United Arab Emirates. The third section of the survey showed that 38% of those who took the survey are aware of the term grey water reuse, while 33% were familiar of how grey water can be reused. 70% of those who took the survey accepted using treated grey water in low-contact applications such as toilet flushing and landscaping. Figure 2 here shows the uses of treated grey water that were suggested in the study and the percentage of respondents who agreed to this particular application of treated grey water. As demonstrated by figure 2, toilet flushing was accepted by 83% of those who took the survey, followed by landscaping, which was accepted by 77%, and car wash that was accepted by 67% of the survey respondents. This is a significantly high percentage in comparison to showering and cloth wash, which were accepted by only 11% and 21% of those who took the survey, respectively. Similar findings were documented by Emiris et al. In 2020 and Maraka and Goody in 2012. Figure 3 here shows a number of suggested concerns to the public in the survey and the percentage of responses agreeing to each one of those concerns. The highest concern regarding the using treated grey water is diseases. This is followed by poor quality perception. Social acceptance or the psychological barrier is a factor of a significantly lower effect compared to religious views were reported by 18%. Only 8% of those who took the survey considered the matter not important. Additional concerns that were suggested by those who took the survey are the excessive treatment chemicals, maintenance costs, and poor hygiene and pleasant odor. The fourth section of the survey results are reported here. 50% of those who took the survey accepted investing in the installation of grey water treatment and reuse systems, while 19% rejected any additional costs. Cost rejection or concerns were attributed to a number of reasons as shown here in Table 1. The main reason is having a low income, followed by quality concerns, which is followed by concerns regarding the high cost of installation or maintenance of grey water treatment systems. This is followed by the lack of knowledge of the treatment process or the quality of treated grey water, health risks, considering any additional costs to be paid by the government or the owner of the building, or other attributes which are shown here as being not concerned of the matter, psychologically rejecting the water, having religious views, and or being environmentally concerned of the effect of using treated grey water. The findings of this study can be summarized as follows. The results of this study agree with the findings of other studies conducted in the United Arab Emirates and Middle East and North Africa region. The results agree with the factors identified in the literature to have an impact on the public acceptance of grey water reuse. Despite the public environmental awareness, there is still lack of awareness about the scarce freshwater resources in the United Arab Emirates. 70% of the survey respondents agreed to use treated grey water in applications not involving direct contact. Treated grey water is still not widely accepted by the public in direct contact uses. Factors considered of a high influence on public acceptance of treated grey water are perceived health risks, water quality concerns, and lack in scientific knowledge about grey water treatment. Factors with lower influence are psychological discomfort, religious views, and perceived costs. Factors with very marginal impact are actually only one factor, which is being environmentally aware. In conclusion, there is a significant potential for public acceptance of grey water reuse. In fact, public acceptance of grey water reuse can be enhanced by increasing the awareness regarding the abundance of freshwater resources, the treatment process of grey water, and the quality of the product water, and reducing the associated costs. A number of references were used in this research study, which are shown here. Thank you very much for listening.